Hey mathematicians, it's JP from Geeky Teachy. Today I'm going to be showing you how to do grid method long division using a 4-digit dividend and a 1-digit divisor. So notice that I've already turned my paper 90 degrees, so my blue lines are going vertically. This is going to help me when I'm adding and subtracting within my dividend to keep my place values lined up. So today we're going to be dividing 5,048 by 5. To determine how many boxes we're going to need, we're going to count the number of digits in our dividend. So I have 4 digits, so I'm going to need 4 boxes for my grid method. I like to use these blue lines on the paper to make my boxes nice and neat. Each box is going to get 3 columns. I find that this really gives me the right amount of space when doing my work. So I should have 3 columns within each box. I should have 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes, 1 box for each digit in my dividend. Now that I have my boxes, I can go ahead and move my digits one at a time into those boxes. So I'm going to start with my thousands place. I'm going to move that 5 down into the first box, my 0 down into the next box, the 4, and the 8. And notice that each of my digits is in the farthest right-hand column within each box. My divisor is still going to be on the outside of my boxes, just as it would be for standard algorithm long division. So before I get started, I need to do 2 things. I need to list my multiples of 5, as well as write my steps for the long division process. So I'm going to put my multiples of 5 over here to the side. And even when I'm listing my multiples, I still use those blue lines to line up my place values. So all the 1s are in one column and all the 10s are in another. Okay, so now that I have my multiples, I can go ahead and write my division steps. I like to use the does McDonald's sell cheeseburgers regularly. So I'm going to divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring up, and repeat. So now that I have my multiples as well as my division steps, I can go ahead and get started with dividing. I'm going to ignore all the boxes except for my first box to start. So my first step is to divide, so I'm going to ask myself how many times 5 can divide into 5. So looking at my multiples, 5 can divide into 5 1 time. After I divide, I'm going to multiply. So 1 times 5 is 5. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract. 5 minus 5 is 0. After I subtract, I'm going to check. So I'm going to check, is my remainder smaller than my divisor? If the answer is yes, I can go ahead and bring up that remainder to create my new dividend, which is now 0. So now when I repeat my division steps, I'm dividing 5 into this new dividend into my second box. So how many times can 5 divide into 0? It can't. So we're going to put a 0 up in my quotient. Now that I've divided, I'm going to multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract. 0 minus 0 is 0. 0 minus 0 is 0. After I subtract, I'm going to check. Is my remainder smaller than my divisor? The answer is yes, so I can go ahead and bring up that 0. Okay, now I'm working in my third box. So I'm only going to be dividing into this new dividend, 4. So how many times can 5 divide into 4? It can't. So we're going to put another 0 in our quotient. After we divide, we're going to multiply. 0 times 5 is 0. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract. 4 minus 0 is 4. 0 minus 0 is 0. Then I'm going to check, is my remainder smaller than my divisor? If the answer is yes, I can bring that up into my next box, creating my new dividend of 48. So now we are only dividing into this last box, 48. So 5 divides into 48. Looking at my multiples, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, It cannot go 10 times. So 9 times. After I divide, I'm going to multiply. 9 times 5 is 45. After I multiply, I'm going to subtract. 8 minus 5 is 3. 4 minus 4 is 0. Next, I'm going to check, is my remainder smaller than my divisor? If it is, I can go ahead and bring it up to the next box, but I don't have another box. So when I bring this number up, it's going to become the remainder in my quotient. So my quotient is 1009 with a remainder of 3. And I can check my work by multiplying 1009 times 5. And then once I get that product, I'm going to add the 3, and I should get a product of 5,048.